I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the town of Bay-Westfield for Monday, August 15th, 2022 to order at 7:02 p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Woolstonbury land. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Woolastook, along which live Woolastookwe, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to wish a happy Acadian Day to all of our Acadian friends and neighbors. National Acadian Day highlights the contribution of Acadians to the Canadian cultural fabric, recognizes their historical presence on the land, and celebrates their cultural specificity in all its diversity. So, bonne fête nationale l'Acadie. I recently spent some time up north in beautiful Caracat, and I can attest to the beauty and culture found in the area. Even though it's summer, council and staff haven't slowed down at all. Between events, growth opportunities, and all the work associated with local governance reform, the work has not stopped. Currently, we are in the midst of the pre-budget season, which means a lot of heavy lifting, especially for staff. The budget is the financial manifestation of council's strategic and tactical plans and brings material focus to our priorities. These priorities and budgetary decisions are what help us drive the transformational change that we're looking for over our mandate. This work will continue over summer and into the fall, and we will continue to update you as we go. I am pleased to announce that I have been appointed as a member for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board Standing Committees. As we have seen on the provincial stage, advocacy is absolutely critical to ensuring that the federal government hears, understands, and addresses the issues faced by and the priorities of municipalities across the country. I am proud to represent Bay-Westfield as part of the collective national voice. This fall, a by-election will be called in our municipality to fill the new position created by local governance reform. Elections New Brunswick will be having a by-election for a ward councillor on November the 28th. Democratic representation is a privilege and an important one. Candidates may begin to file their nomination papers on Tuesday, October 11th, when the returning offices open to the public. The town will be holding a candidate information session in the fall for anyone in the board who may be interested in offering for public service, and I urge people to put their names forward. Our town has been hopping this summer, and what a great summer it has turned out to be, with maybe the exception of that 42-degree day the other Sunday, but that's the exception to the rule, I think. The Community Vitality Committee and our amazing staff have worked hard to bring lots of great things to do right here in Bay-Westfield. Live music performances, pickleball, movies, events, and more. There's always something to do here, just minutes from your front door. I look forward to seeing you at some of the events we have planned for the rest of the summer. Currently, we have our Unity Park Summer Series still running on Wednesdays, and our Friday night movies at Brundage Point. Join in and have fun with us. Between these great events, our splash pad, parks, trails, water accesses, and more, there's always plenty to do. Make sure to regularly check into our website at www.grandbaywestfield.ca or our Facebook page for details on upcoming events as they are released. We have some great stuff planned for fall. You won't want to miss it. So now on to actual business. Item 4, record of attendance. Let the record reflect that we have everyone in physical attendance with the exception of Councillor Day, who is attending virtually this evening. Item 5, agenda approval. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of August 15th, 2022 with the addition of 11F snow control equipment. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Bellman. Do I have a second? Councillor Day, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 6, disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any? There being none. Item 7, public hearings, presentations, delegations, petitions. There being none, we'll move on to item 8, minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council meeting minutes of July 11th, 2022. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of July 11th, 2022. We have a motion. Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. We have a second. Councillor Day, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 9, unfinished business. There being none, we'll move on to item 10, bylaws. 10A, CAO bylaw number 126. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt by title in the third reading the CAO bylaw number 126. Third reading by title, Chief Administrative Officer bylaw number 126. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Malcolm. Do I have a second? Deputy Mayor Toole, thank you. John, please speak to the motion, please.
Yes, Your Worship. Yeah, there's only about, I think last time council asked me if there are others in the province, that other municipalities that have this bylaw. I was wrong. I found 2 or 3 others at most. So this is another one. It's quite common in other parts of Canada. So after listening to council last time, 3 amendments have been made to the bylaw. Clause 4.5 has been added to ensure alignment with provincial legislation. And that is that CAO can only be removed by 2/3 of the council when cause has been determined. Clause 5.3 has been amended and better reflects the direction that council is going, is that the CAO is also responsible for the implementation of services and the strategic plan, not just programs. So broaden, the town doesn't just deliver programs, we deliver other things as well. And then finally, I believe it was the deputy mayor, mentioned that she found that in looking at the bylaw, it was very helpful that I had sent the relevant sections of the Local Governance Act to her. So they've been added as an appendix so that everyone can see on what basis the bylaw has been built.
Thank you, John. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion? Deputy Mayor Toole, you were the,
I think this is a great bylaw. I'm really happy with it. As one of the sections of the Local Governance Act notes is that the Chief Administrative Officer of local government has the powers and duties that council prescribes by bylaw and resolution. So technically we need one. So it's kind of interesting that there's not a lot out there. So it's a
Yeah, I really didn't have any powers before. If you pass it tonight, then I will.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's good. It's well, no, but when you look at it, you can get an idea of the jobs that what the job requires and all the powers and duties out there. And also talks a bit about designating and assigning other duties down the line. So whether there's other people delegated for roles. So it just provides clarity, I think, for you and for us. So I support this.
any other questions or comments on the motion? I just want to thank staff and council for all of the reading of this bylaw to make sure that that it was as robust as it needs to be. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, council. Item 11, new business recommendations. 11A, offer of planning services. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield accept the offer of services for undertaking the town's municipal plan bylaw and zoning bylaw amendments to apply a land use framework within the entirety of the new municipal boundaries coming into effect on January 1st, 2023, as set out in the letter of July 29th, 2022, from Jennifer Brown Dillon Consulting Limited for the estimated cost of $22,375 plus HST. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Gelmans. Councillor Day, second. Thank you. John, can you speak to the motion, please?
Certainly, yeah. So the intent behind this is to get out ahead of the curve. There's a shortage of planners, not only in New Brunswick, but across the country. And we see this as an important work. This is something that's mandated by the Local Governance Act. And I know it has been said by provincial officials that, you can just wait to pass it. it becomes very awkward in a small municipality to have different sets of regulations in different parts of town. So our intent through working with Dillon Consulting, and I must also say in cooperation with 2 other municipalities undergoing similar change to us, because we met together to sort this out, that we're collaborating on dates and stuff like that, but to have this done by the end of 2023, so that as we enter into 24, our town will be unified both through bylaws and policies and the municipal plan. So we're on course to make sure that the town is fully compliant with all provincial legislation, and that we're going to be one town.
Thank you, John. Do you have any questions or comments on the motion?
So this is a requirement coming out of local government reform, so does the province cover any of the costs of that?
I wish yes. Does that count as an answer? No, the province has been very consistent in saying they're not going to provide any funding support for any changes as a result of local governance reform. So this is $22,000 that will not be recouped, and we cannot just charge it all to the tax rate to the LSD, because this is considered a shared cost.
Comment, Your Worship. I'm very pleased that Jennifer Brown from Dillon has accepted in the form of the proposal. We've met as council with Jennifer a number of times over several bylaw amendments this year, and also myself on PAC. At double duty with her, and she's very easy to get along with and straight to the point. And I think I'm very pleased that we are ahead of the curve such that we have that capacity. Thank you very much.
Yes, I agree. Councillor Bachman, Jennifer is a consummate professional. Thankful that we're able to work with her again on this. Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Second motion in association with item 11A, that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield authorize administration to begin work in 2022 and is authorized to spend the unbudgeted amount up to $9,000. So we have a motion. Well, thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Second. Thank you, Councillor Balcom. And,
So, Your Worship, in order to finish this in 2023, work needs to begin this fall. All the preliminary work. I am pleased to say, though, maybe I should have mentioned this with the last resolution, that normally it would cost $40,000 to $60,000 because so much work has been done so recently, including amendments. Less work has to be done. So this work will be done. We're going to have an open house in January. I think the date's been set. I don't recall. And again, we've been coordinating with other municipalities in the area, and we would like to go out to the new part of Bay-Westfield and host the open house in their part of the town. But this $9,000 is work that needs to be done this year, so we can be done next year, because it's about a 16 to 18 month process.
thank you, Jen. Any questions or comments on the motion?
Said that it's good to have Dillon's. You're mentioning the cost savings, because they did the previous work, the municipal plan, so I'm happy about this. Glad to hear we're going to do it in the new portion. So I think this is just the first of many. We're going to see chunks of work coming out of local governance reform. We're seeing kind of the fruits around the table here and what the conceptual discussions. This is interesting.
Any other questions or comments? I just want to highlight, I know we mentioned it before with respect to the fact that this is a cost that is being incurred on the municipality as a result of local governance reform. I do applaud the province for taking that on. It was not a popular issue in a lot of places, and it's very complex, and I do support it in principle. I do have a bit of an issue with all the costs that are being downloaded to a municipality of very limited resources. We can't bear a lot more of this kind of expense coming down to us as a direct result of decisions made by the province. Umnb, as well as us, have been advocating that expenses incurred as a result of the local governance reform province being reimbursed by the province. The town of Grand Bay-Westfield just finished their municipal plan. They just finished it. So this expense is solely due to local governance reform and those decisions made by the province. I just want to make that clear.
Your Worship,
Yes, Councillor Day?
are we tracking what this amalgamation is costing us separately so that down the road, we can inform, like at budget time, our population and our community that amalgamation is not cheap?
John?
As Your Worship, through to the councillor, we're tracking direct out-of-pocket expenses.
Okay.
We really don't have the tools to track staff time. That's not something that we're set up to do, so we're not able to track that. The other thing too is that, my understanding is that it's up to the province for the information to be released. So I'm not sure how that works. However, we're tracking direct out-of-pocket expenses. Staff time is not something we're equipped to track.
Okay, good. Because people think amalgamation doesn't cost, and it does.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 11B, Sewerage Utility Financial Report. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the Sewerage Utility Revenue Fund July 31st financial report as presented. May I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. May I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. John?
Poop pays, Your Worship.
I was waiting for something.
Because we have more homes connected to the utility service, we're going to see just over 2% increase in revenue. I wish that translated to our regular budget, general operating budget, but it doesn't. But yes, Your Worship, we're on track, and we don't really expect any deviation from our projections.
Any questions or comments on the motion? I don't want to say that jokes never get old.
Toilet humor never.
Yeah, I know. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? The motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 11C, CAO contract update. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield approve the updates to the Chief Administrative Officer contract. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Balcom, and we have you seconding, Councillor Day.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that's great, thank you. I'll speak to this motion. So we've talked already about the effects of local governance reform on the capacity of the municipality. It's not just the fiscal capacity, but it's also the staff capacity. So there's realities that council recognizes here. One is that our professional staff, and in particular our CAO, has been spending a considerable amount of time over and above the expected amount, over and above regular municipal priorities in order to meet the deadlines and accomplish the work of council with respect to local governance reform, as well as on top of all of the other responsibilities our CAO has. Council also recognizes that CAOs are being recruited to fill all the new positions created by local governance reform. Our current financial position does not, particularly with the uncertainty going on with respect to LGR, does not allow us to increase salaries at this time. But we would like to compensate our CAO with a better work-life balance. We appreciate and value our staff, and reducing churn is in the best interest of the town as well. John has worked tirelessly and relentlessly for the residents of our community, and I would like to recognize that with that better work-life balance. Do you have any questions or comments on the motion?
I agree with you, Your Worship. Our CAO has worked above and beyond what the expectations of a normal work-life balance would be, especially with all the amalgamation and all the issues that we've been faced. It's like he walked into a quagmire that he didn't know he was going to walk into. And I really appreciate what he has done and the time he has spent doing it. And I think this is only reasonable. I mean, he's developed a team, and very few people, if any, are on call 24/7. And I think our CAO needs a break. And I think it would also help us grow our people by having them participate in on calls and grow our team even more. So I'm totally supportive of this, and I don't want to see our CAO burn out.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Do you have any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Thank you, Council. Yes, John?
I'd just like to thank council. There's no monetary update here, it's just some more time off and not being on call 24/7, 365. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And you've been very kind in your praise towards me, but really it's praise that should go also to the rest of the team. The only reason that you think I do a good job is I have good people who are in leadership with me. And I can't do it without them, both the new leadership that have been brought in this past year and those that I inherited when I came here 2 years ago. So I just want to thank the team for all the work that you guys have done alongside me. So thank you.
I want to thank you, team. Absolutely. We'll move on to item 11D, subdivision, Colonel Nace Boulevard. As recommended by the Planning Advisory Committee, the following motion is provided for council's consideration: that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield accept $905 as money in lieu of land for public purposes for the creation of one new building lot 22-1, and a remnant 1.62 hectare parcel at a pit number 221218 on the south side of Colonel Nace Boulevard, with approval of the final subdivision plan by the development officer, to be subject to recording new civic numbers 290, 300, 310, and 320, and showing a 5-meter wide public utility easement along the lot frontage in favor of public utilities. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Bellman. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Tuo. John, can you speak to the motion, please?
Your Worship, we're finally going to have a building on Colonel Nace Boulevard. Yeah, it's been a long time coming,
It sure
as
has.
everybody knows.
Yes.
So yeah, I can't speak more for that. It's going to be 3 sets of townhomes for 24 different units altogether. And so we're very much looking forward to that development, Your Worship.
That's really great news. One of the pillars of our strategic plan is population growth for financial sustainability. Every decision we make as a council relates in some way to supporting our strategic pillars. Seeing the new developments that are starting to occur, like this one here tonight, is exciting. It's thrilling, and it's proof that this council is a change-making council. It's a driving council and a building council. The decisions we have made based on our priorities are starting to fan the sparks of development, and it looks like it's turning into a full-blown fire, and the good kind. So I can't wait to see it grow and continue. Do we have any questions or comments on the motion?
Just want to
Councillor
comment,
Malcolm?
Your Worship, this is probably the most fondest, or the fondest council session that I've attended in, since being sworn in. It's all about growth, it's all about getting more people to move to this wonderful town, but they need to have a place to stay, and developers have listened to us, what we've done with bylaw changes and taking off the frontage fees off of Colonel Nace, and I think this is going to be the start of the dominoes that will start to fall, and fall in a good way. Thank you.
Agreed, thank you, Councillor Balcom. Councillor Day.
Your Worship, I've been following on Facebook, two of our families that have been long-standing here in our community are downsizing and as a result have to leave the community. So I am so happy to hear of this kind of development because hopefully we'll be able to keep our seniors here in the community longer. Because it's really, really sad when you hear that people can't be accommodated in their own community and they have to leave.
Yeah, absolutely, Councillor Day. Thank you for that comment. Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor. I just want to thank staff and our planning officer for all the hard work in pulling this kind of thing together. It's not easy sometimes to make these things happen, and I appreciate all the work that's done on behalf. Yes, Joe?
Your Worship, I guess I just want to commend our planning officer. He's been really working hard to find a way to say yes. So he's really taken that to heart, and I've received a number of compliments on the work that he's been doing with that approach.
Well, that's wonderful.
Here.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Item 11E, YSJ Air Access. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield support the regional letter regarding St. John Airport. We have a motion. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. So I guess I can speak to this one. Air Canada has recently dropped the number of flights to YSJ to various points, most specifically Toronto. And it appears that they cut the flights to YSJ at a higher percentage than they have to either Fredericton or Moncton. So key economic development opportunities such as like Port St. John, the Integrated Health Initiative, etc., are dependent on an airport that is performing strongly and has the proper service levels. So having Air Canada cut these flights at YSJ is, especially while it's not equitable compared to our provincial neighbors, is not a good thing, and we need frequent and consistent air access. So all of the regional mayors are in supportive of this letter to Air Canada, and the hope is that will incentivize them and help them understand why it's important for us to have the proper air access to support economic development in the region. John, do you have anything to add to that?
No, Your Worship.
Do you have any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 11F, snow control equipment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize administration to use up to $200,000 from reserves to procure used snow control equipment during 2022. We have a motion. Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. Do we have a second? Thank you, Councillor Balcom. John, can you speak to the motion, please?
Yes, Your Worship. This is an unusual request in the fact that we actually don't have any equipment to bring to you to authorize to spend on. However, what we're learning about the current market for used equipment that would be used for snow control via truck, sidewalk clearing machines all the way up to a double axle truck with a wing plow and spreaders and stuff, is that one, if you ordered them new, it would take anywhere from I think it was 14 to 18 months, something like that. And there's not a whole lot of used equipment out there because it's hard to get new equipment. So what we're asking, Your Worship, is for the agility to act quickly. So that if we do identify something at market that's going to auction, that we can immediately go and purchase it. And then what we'll do is we'll come back and report to council that as an example, $50,000 was spent on a single axle truck that would have a front plow and a wing with spreader capacity on it. So we're very concerned about being able to access the equipment. Second, just as an update to Council, Your Worship. Right now, we're looking at projections of minimum of about, give or take, $1 million to procure all the necessary equipment to completely deliver the service in-house. So I guess I just want to let Council know that we're respecting Council's intent, which is our intent, that we want to fully deliver snow control service in-house. However, we may come back to Council saying that we believe that it's in everybody's best interest if we engage ABL for a season or two to deliver part of the service, just because if, as for an example, it does cost us $1 million, that pretty much wipes out our reserves. Our reserves are about $1.25 million, $1.2 million, $1.2 million. And we can't afford to spend $1 million of it all at one time, nor do I think it's prudent that we use debentures to finance used equipment. So this will be used to act quickly if the right opportunity arises. And then we're still proceeding. We're meeting with AVL this coming week, Your Worship, as well, talking about one, thank them for the great service they've been providing us, but two, are they interested in still providing some aspects of service as we transition into bringing it all in-house.
Thank you, John. We have any questions or comments on the motion?
It's a big, we talked about it, Council, it's a big decision to move, and though we would like to get there all at once, I think this is not a bad way to do it, to go to gradually, so. It's a tough thing to think about, spending $1 million.
It is.
Councillor Goff?
A comment, Your Worship, through yourself to see how the town of Hampton went through this process in the past. What do you recall what the transition period was from the time that they started their hybrid model to end up with fully in-house?
Oh, that conversation was about a year ago, Councillor. I'm going to say about 4 or 5 years before it was fully in-house. And they took, like, we've tried to learn from them. They went with the used route first. They did cherry pick which equipment should they purchase new first, just because of reliability and whatnot. And again, because delivery dates cannot be confirmed, that's a pretty risky route for us to take at this time. So again, we've identified a number of risks, and we're trying to mitigate them one thing at a time here. And one of the things that we have identified is we need agility to do that quickly in the marketplace. So I hope that answers your.
Sure does. They were cautious, like we are.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
we
proposal
need,
that we have.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. We need to position ourselves to get the best equipment for the best prices at the right time. That's the financially prudent thing to do.
Yeah, I just have to share an experience where in my previous post, Your Worship, my works manager was looking for a bucket truck, and he found one, but he lost out because nothing had been budgeted. So it was actually 4 years he was looking. Some of it predated my arrival there, and then we just had this blank thing, bucket truck every year. It's in the budget. Some years it's just carried over, and then he saw it, and we had it at the garage for mechanical and for science about 2 days later. And that truck proved its weight worth of gold. It's fantastic. So there's something he said for agility. Sure.
So, I'm glad that we're speaking with ABL. I know when we talked about one of the models going forward would be a potential hybrid model. So I think that's as you said, it's for I don't want to say we're risk averse, but we're risk aware.
We're risk aware. I think we work more on probability, So, yes.
Do we have any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Item 12, bills for payment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the August 15th, 2022 bills for payment as presented in the amount for $426,000, $205.69. We have a motion? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Second, Councillor Day, thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? Yes,
Number 11, 2,500 for movies, is that the cost of the license?
In
Is
the
that-
purchase.
And the movie,
Yeah, in the purchase, yeah.
okay,
The license is to show to the public.
Number 37, 7,700 for dispatch. Is that 911 dispatch or?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, the call would be received, I think it's in St. John, and then that would be passed out to relevant emergency agency. And that, I think that's a quarterly number too. Is that? Yes.
Number 83, it was 500 for entertainment.
Actually, it says 300 in there.
Oh, it says 300?
It says 300. So-
Mine is very, my screen's written, no, I don't need glasses. I'll show you,
actually,
I can't see the numbers.
It's half cut off.
So no, actually for that particular entertainer,
I know, it was a cancel.
yeah, he's our backup guy. So
Oh,
he,
I thought maybe that's why you got paid more.
no, he charges less.
Okay, alright.
So we saved $100,
Okay.
and I don't want you to give him ideas. He should charge more. And then I believe he is performing again this coming week. So he's our standby backup,
Okay,
and then he also has his own place in the rotation, and it's for that $300.
okay.
Please don't give him delusions of
I-
grandeur to
I
charge
thought it
more.
was more because he stepped up. One more, 124. 6,000 for janitorial, what's the time frame on that? Is that-
That's monthly, but we pay more in the summer because more facilities are open, and then the splash pad is cleaned twice per day.
How many staff is that?
It's contracted out, so I'm not sure how many people they use.
There's a washroom there and a few other things that they would have to be responsible for to clean, to keep up to our standards for the community.
Right. Yeah, so they're in there cleaning that splash pad bathroom 2 times a day.
Twice a day.
Yeah.
I think last year we didn't have any porta potties. Did
Yeah,
we? I don't know. Gary was here. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so summer there's more facilities open that need to be cleaned.
Do we have any further questions or comments? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, DTI important notice. B, elections NB, local government elections. C, email Compassionate Grief Center. D, letter equalization and unconditional grants. E, letter expert panel, Department of Environment and Local Government. F, PAC minutes, June 6, 2022. G, Pink Out Day thank you letter. H, RCMP acknowledgement of consultation. I, YMCA newcomer connections. J, building inspector report. And K, strategic plan progress report. The motion is that the council of the town of Bay Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for August 15th, 2022. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Councillor Day. Thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion? John?
Your Worship, I'd just like to point out that building permits are ahead of last year, and we had a very strong year last year.
And that will only change with what's going on now. That's good.
Well, hopefully.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Well, item 14, council reports. Let's start with our traveler, Councillor Day.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone. I got to do the Wednesday evening entertainment at Unity Park before I took off. And it was well attended, and the music, I could have listened to them for another couple of hours. The girl had the softest, nicest voice, and as I said, I just loved them. and so did the seniors. So it was really good to see everybody and to participate. So, and in my traveling, I am able to see what other communities are doing. And if we ever do have a library or even something with the golf course, one thing I've learned from Midland, Ontario, they had on the news about the fact that their library was lending out equipment to do recreation so that people could try it before they went and purchased it. And it was things like walking sticks, snowshoes. I can't think of all of the other things they had, but they also had a microscope, because kids at Christmas time think they want all kinds of things, and then they get a microscope and they don't know what to do with it. So this is a chance for people to try things out before they buy them. And they can have the item for 2 weeks. So I thought it was a great idea, and it might be something we can look at as we're proceeding along.
Thank you, Councillor Day. Councillor Bellmans.
Doesn't report this one.
Summer, right?
Pretty quiet month.
Yeah, well, it's probably busy for work,
Good
for you,
point.
yeah. Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Since my last report, I've attended a very interesting PAC meeting. Some of the results came tonight. Also a Harbour Station Commission, TD Station board meeting. I've had the pleasure of having some one-on-one discussions with some residents of our soon-to-be enlarged town, people who live in the LSD Westfield West. Continue to introduce me to other residents there, and I'm just trying to get a feel proactively of the pulse of that area. I'm not that familiar with that area as much as I am here, so I'm enjoying those discussions over coffee. And I've also had some discussions of residents of the town here who are interested in building some houses on land that they have, and also possibly off Colonel Mace. So they've approached me as quasi-friends, but there's a due process, but it's encouraging.
That's great.
That's all.
Thank you, Councillor Bell. Councillor McIntosh Lawrence.
Well, it's summer, so it has been a bit slow. I attended the New Brunswick Day festivities, so that was fun. I got to enjoy the cupcakes provided by our village bakery. They were delicious, and enjoyed the music of Solid Gold, and just see everyone out and about, and that was fun. As Councillor Day said, I also had the privilege of introducing Reg Gallant last week at the Unity Park Summer Stage, and again, I could have listened to him all night as well. It was well attended, and so that was a beautiful night. And the last thing, the Community Vitality Committee has met just to debrief about Canada Day. There were sort of good ideas going forward of things we should change, things we should keep. And we're in discussions of some fun things happening this fall. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Deputy Mayor Toole.
It's on the, I guess, non-exciting side, because I knew Umnb, the Union Municipalities of New Brunswick meetings. I attended the Zone 3 meeting with Councillor Worship and Councillors Day and McIntosh Lawrence, which was really interesting. And also the Local Governance Reform Committee that is still ongoing as well, so I attended those meetings. And under the fun community stuff, been privileged along with, as was mentioned by other council, I think every one of us has done this, to introduce acts at the summer stage on Wednesday night. So if you haven't gone or watching, you should go, because it is a lot of fun. And I was finally able to make it to the market, which I have not been able to make. So I finally got there last week, and they have, since I was earlier in the summer to now, it's expanded. There's a lot more vendors. Like I saw there's a produce vendor, and there's a few others. Pizza's excellent. It's well worth the visit on Thursday nights. So. And I also was thinking about what Councillor Day mentioned about her travels. And we were able to travel around the province as well this summer. And we went to Caracat recently, and were able to run into the mayor up there and kind of picked his brain on their infrastructure about cycling and things like that. And also had the privilege of going to St. Martin's last weekend for their sea shanty festival. So you can see what small communities can do with some kind of ingenuity and ideas. It was quite exciting. So maybe the other thing I want to note is, I think what everybody's seen is the work that's been done around the town. So a lot of the ideas or things we've mentioned here, we're now seeing it. I did a run down Shannon Road, and the solar array that's been put in is amazing. It's really impressive. You can see the solar array down there. And also the street markings are going on, like updating the bicycle markings and the new lines. And most notably, and the one that most people have talked to me about, it's probably more comments I've gotten on anything else, even local governance reform, is the new crosswalk at the end of the trail. So everybody loves the crosswalk, and I know that was a decision made a long time ago, but it's excellent. Like, I'm really happy to see that. So it's really nice to see kind of, summer's been busy, I guess, with our works crew, getting all that stuff down. So it's nice to see.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, for me, it's been a busy month. The regional mayors meet every month at Envision St. John. This past month, our speaker was Kathy Simpson, who's a professional in the IT world. She spoke on the invisible industry of IT and how it's an important economic driver for our region. And she also said that they're looking to get more women and girls in the industry, and so that's one of the focuses of her group and her company over the coming days, because it's 80, I think she said it was 80% male and only 20% female. They're looking for more gender parity in that industry. It's a good paying industry, and they don't have enough people to fill the jobs. So if you know a woman or a girl that's looking to change a career or go into a line of schooling and they're not entirely sure what to do, that's one way that they can the job start. She said $70,000 to $80,000 per year, and there's 100 jobs in the region that are going unfilled at the moment. So it was really fascinating to learn, because she said it's basically an invisible industry. There's world-class companies in our area that people don't even really know about. So that was very, very interesting. So with local governance reform, as we've mentioned before, I've been involved in lots of meetings and lots of calls and lots of work associated with that, both in my role as mayor and my role as chair of the Regional Service Commission here. I've spent a lot of time more locally out at the dog park, right, just responding to concerns and making sure it's still a great environment for our furry friends. And I just want to send another shout out to Justin Blankhorn of the Crack Doctors for taking that on and really improving the experience for our residents out there. And I'd just like to emphasize here, if you do have a question or concern, please remember to reach out directly either to council, to myself, to staff. That's how we know that there may be a need to be addressed. It's always the best way to get things done. I, along with Councillors Dave McIntosh, Lawrence, and Deputy Mayor Toole, attended the UMNB Zone 3 meeting in Hampton. I'm pleased to say that both of the resolutions that Council passed at our last Council meeting were unanimously approved at that meeting, and will now move forward to the UMNB Resolution Committee. I was also honoured to be elected, along with Councillor Ken Chorley of Hampton, to be one of the new UMNB Zone 3 representatives. And of course, that's another method of advocacy, but instead of federal, in this case, it's provincial. So representing the interests of our zone municipalities at that provincial level. I always spend a lot of time with our residents, either via email, phone, having coffee, visiting, etc. And this month was no exception. It's one of my favorite parts of the job, even if I'm addressing concerns, because I like to know what's going on. I'd like to know what needs to be fixed, and I do my best to reach solutions. And I always appreciate when people take the time to reach out to me directly to share their issues, their concerns, and hopefully every once in a while their kudos too. Some of the time I spent with residents this past month was assessing potholes on Woolastook, which now have been nicely filled by our works department, so that's great. One was welcoming a new resident over coffee. I spent some time looking at culverts. So in this job, I'm learning a lot more about road work and culverts and construction than I ever knew before. One of the things I did this month was helping someone navigate the school computer subsidy program for their child that's going into grade 9 at one of the local high schools. And I've spent a fair amount of money on local lemonade stands. So I've been pretty lucky to have some excellent lemonade lately. Those are some of my favorite things to do. So I really want to emphasize to people, always feel like you can reach out to either me or to council and staff as well. We're here to serve you. That's our job. We are servants of the people. One of the fun things I did was I spoke and brought greetings on behalf of the town at our New Brunswick Day celebration, listened to some great music by Solid Gold, and of course, ate more than my fair share of Village Bakery cupcakes. But that's just what you do when you've got a Village Square cupcake in front of you. You have 2 or 3. The Deputy Prime Minister and Federal Minister of Finance was in town this month as well, and I was invited to join her and the other regional mayors on a tour of the West Side Port Modernization Project, which is an incredibly impressive project. The work going on there is transformational for the region, and it's actually the largest construction project going on in Atlantic Canada at this time. So that's quite something. Grand Bay-Westfield resident Alex Calvin is the engineering lead on aspects of this project, and Alex was a past member of our PAC, and very proud that one of our residents is such a key part of that project. It's really incredible, and it was a great opportunity to tell our Deputy Prime Minister all about Grand Bay-Westfield, what our priorities are, what our issues are, what our hopes and dreams are, and tell her what an amazing place that we have right here on the Woolastook River. So it's a great opportunity to talk about our priorities at a federal level. So I was very thankful to have that opportunity. Not that long ago, we had the Pride Parade. It was a great day for it. I'm so proud that our town and Grand Bay-Westfield Volunteer Fire Rescue are unwavering in our support of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I would just like to point out that I was the only mayor that showed up with a fire truck. Thank you for that, Captain. One of the other things that I did was I represented the town at the Maiden International Ports of Call dinner along with some of the other regional mayors. The crew of the Maiden, which is an aluminum-hulled sailing ship, is on a 3-year journey traversing the globe in support of empowering girls through education. So we are the only Canadian stop on this leg of the journey, and it's pretty impressive that they selected our region for their stop. They're world famous, and the work they do is quite incredible. All donations to the Maiden Factor Foundation go directly to causes supporting education for girls, and anything they make while they're in port, 50% of it stays for local initiatives. So that was really great, and they're sponsored by DP World, so literally all of their costs are covered, so every dollar that gets donated to the Maiden Factor Foundation goes straight to programs towards educating girls across the world. I'll try and wrap this up quickly because I feel like I'm being a little long-winded. I participated in our fire services review, so that was an exciting day. I attended both the grand opening of Sculpture St. John and a reception held by Mayor Reardon to welcome and meet our artists. This is pretty exciting. We're I think the only municipality that's going to have all 5 sculptures from the Sculpture Symposium from the time it started. So this is a great opportunity for, the grounds are open, you can go, you can watch the sculptors work from, starting from that just block of granite and transforming it into something really, really amazing. So I'm very excited to watch our own special sculpture come to life. So don't forget to join us tomorrow night. Is it 8 p.m.? 8 p.m. at Brundage Point. We are having all of the artists come to Brundage Point, and it's not every day you have the opportunity to meet an entire contingent of world-class artists in one place. So I encourage everyone to join us tomorrow night at 8 o'clock and have an opportunity to meet artists both from Canada but also from all over the world. And that finally is the end of my council report tonight, everybody. Sorry about the length, but there was a lot to say. Item 15, business arising from committee of the whole. There being none, we'll move on to item 16, adjournment. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 7:57 p.m. Do I have a motion? Councillor Bellman? Do I have a second? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
I've got